The man with the burn scar is Scopper. No. The man with the burn scar is Dragon. No. The man with the burn scar is Jaguar D Sol.
Maybe.
Okay, maybe. We're gonna get to it. There's a lot of people who've been speculating a lot of different stuff. If you haven't already, definitely go check out my review for chapter 1081. But we gotta dive a little bit deeper because this chapter was jam-packed with a lot of information and definitely setting up a lot of things for the future. Now, we're also gonna have some predictions, so stay tuned for that. Feeling a lot better today. Thank you for those with the well wishes. We could dive deeper, so let's get into it. All right, so we're gonna kind of break this down. We're gonna first go over the whole section with Kuzan joining the Blackbeard pirates and his encounter right now with Garp. I was talking about this in my review. Is Kuzan really in Sword? I still believe that Kuzan really is in Sword and that he has to continue to play his cards right. So I didn't really get to talk too much deeper about his character. So if we go back and look at when we first got introduced to Kuzan, post having the battle with Akainu, he pulls up to Punk Hazard so he can save Smoker. At this time, he had to have joined Blackbeard already. So it seems as though he decided to join Blackbeard. He continued to go and do things on his own, and saving Smoker or looking out for the Marines and telling the Marines that they didn't see him definitely gave us a little bit of some implications right there that he is still looking out for the Marines or still has some sort of sense of justice, that he's looking out for the greater good. And joining Blackbeard's crew is only just a step to help him to achieve his goal. So it's very similar to Drake. So we see this with X-Drake, where he is deep undercover and no one really knows that he's a part of Sword. One other thing that I just wanted to add is that Oda loves to do this, where he kind of throws in these red herrings to kind of make us forget something that we kind of already might have guessed would have been right. And this is definitely one of those cases. So we already had believed that Aokiji was a part of Sword. Once we found out that this division of the Marines existed, we were like, oh, okay, Kuzan is Sword now. He's no longer a Marine. He's not affiliated with the Marines anymore. But we know it just didn't seem right that he's been trained and been a part of the Marines for so many years. He loses battle to Akainu. We get it. He doesn't want to follow Akainu's orders. And if he were to remain an admiral, he would have to. So the only way that he can kind of still be on the good guy side is to become Sword. And so this is what he's doing. There's no way that his goal would be in alignment with Blackbeard forming a free country or whatever, a country that's going to be affiliated with the government. And we don't really know everything that Blackbeard has planned other than that. Potentially following it with Zebek's goal, maybe he wants to be the king of the world, but he hasn't shown his true ambitions other than just building a very strong crew with Devil Fruit users. Kuzan is using Blackbeard as a means to an end. Like he said, as long as our interests align, and right now the interests may be aligning because Kuzan is going against the world government, and so is Blackbeard. So right now their interests are aligning, and Kuzan needs a lot more firepower, or at least needs some type of cover. Why not go under one of the most dangerous of the four Yonko at this point? So next up, when we had the Kuzan flashback, when we had the conversation with Blackbeard's crew discussing the man with the burn scar, Oda loves to do these little foreshadowing moments, or these moments where he kind of is giving us the information, but at the same time it's very vague. So it's kind of for us to kind of figure it out on our own. And then he throws in other information to completely throw us off. So the fact that the man with the burn scar is traveling on a ship, we immediately were like, maybe it's not Saul, because we all assume that Saul is most likely on Elbaf. So it's kind of to throw us off. And then it's kind of been a theory that once the man with the burn scar was revealed, that it might have been Kuzan, which is why Oda made the joke with Kuzan saying, me? With Kuzan saying, like, I have the poneglyph? Like, no, I don't. Like, no way. You know what I mean? So it was a play with us. Oda's very, very aware of the One Piece theories and everything like that. So he's like, yeah, you guys might think it's Kuzan. Haha, psych, it's not Kuzan.
Nani?
And we now also may think it's Dragon, but it can't be Dragon, right? Reason why I would say I don't think it could be Dragon, despite all of the information that we have that could very much be leading that way, we still don't have a confirmation that Dragon has some type of power that can create whirlpools. For most of the fans, we kind of assume that Dragon has some type of wind element or some type of wind devil fruit or something along those lines, because there were two occasions where a huge gust of wind appeared, and it was also shown right before Dragon was shown. And it could be very possible that Dragon's power can also create whirlpools. But the reason why I don't think that it's Dragon is because Robin had spent a great deal of time with the revolutionary armies, and number one, she not only did not hear about a man with a burn scar, but that information would have definitely been shared if the Revolutionary Army were holding any type of poneglyphs or any type of information that would aid Robin in finding out the true history. So if Robin's goal is to find out the true history, and I'm sure she would have shared this with the Revolutionary Army, there would have been some way, if they had any way that they could help her or let her know that, hey, we also have one of the poneglyphs, that's something that they would share with her. I'm pretty sure about that. I also wanted to discount, because a lot of people were also mentioning Scopper, and the reason why I don't necessarily believe that it's Scopper is because we haven't had any type of information to kind of lead us in that direction. I know a lot of people just love to parallel the fact that we've met with Crocus and we met with Rayleigh at different points of the Grand Line to kind of assist. And I do believe, yes, we met Crocus at going into Logtown, and we met Rayleigh at the midpoint of the Grand Line, which was at Sabori. So I believe if we were to be meeting one more of Roger's crewmates, I believe that we would most likely be at Lodestar. So it would kind of give us a little bit more of a guide as to how the Straw Hats are going to actually find Laugh-Tale once they have all 4 rolled poneglyphs. So Saul, we're still not 100% sure if it could be Saul. However, he definitely fits the bill when it comes to potentially being a man marked by flames. He was on the island of Ohara when it was burning, so it's potential he could have gotten burns that way, or it could be ice burns because he was frozen by Aokiji's attack. So I think it is very likely. And then we also had, during the Egghead arc, Vegapunk kind of revealed during his flashback that there were giants that pulled up to Ohara. So it's possible that the giants also helped Saul to escape and bring him back to Elbaf, and it could be that he's riding on another ship or something along those lines, so that this way he can keep Ohara safe by not actually keeping the 4th red poneglyph on the island. And this could be something that Shanks also may be aware of or may not be. Speaking of Shanks, now that Shanks has the poneglyphs, it seems like Blackbeard is mirroring that as well. So now they both have at least 2 or 3 of the poneglyphs, and we're all looking for this last poneglyph that is held by the man marked by flames. So a lot of people have now been saying that, oh, well, since Law is alive, now I think it's possible that Kid may be alive. And once again, I mentioned this at the time, that it could be possible that Kid is still alive if there is some more stuff left for him in the story. However, they didn't really show everything that we got with Law, and we spent a lot more time with Law. And understanding that Law, having Beppo, who's not a devil fruit user, is actually able to survive in water, whereas in Kid's situation, I was always wondering why it was necessary for Killer to have eaten a smile, and this is, I guess, potentially the reason why, because now we have that Kid and Killer are both devil fruit users, so neither of them can swim. And then we have on the opposite end, we have Law, whose first mate can swim, who was able to save him and escape from Blackbeard. So a lot of people are also saying like, oh, Blackbeard is so weak, like how is he able to let Beppo escape? Beppo caught them off guard, and Blackbeard, he's always someone who's very well calculated, so it's like once something happens that he was not expecting, he's always like super shocked, like, oh shit. Beppo was able to use this moment to his advantage because no one was aware that he had this ability. Turns huge. He threw a rock, it looks like, as well, smashed them. I'm sure if they knew that his plan was to potentially try to run away, that they would have been better planned for it, but Beppo was able to jump into the water. They're all devil fruit users, and since Beppo was swimming on the water, they weren't able to see where he went. There was some different speculation about what the wording was. I wanted to wait for the official to decide if Blackbeard actually planned to use the Opi no Mi, because a lot of people are like, oh wow, so it is possible that Blackbeard is able to eat a 3rd devil fruit. And I think that with the translation, him saying that he wants to use it doesn't necessarily mean that he wants to eat it. I think it is possible, but when he was talking about either using it or selling it, I think it was more so about using it for the immortality purposes. So that's the reason why he did mention that. He was like, can it really make me immortal? Because like, it seems like he was unsure if it could actually really do that, so that's why he was wavering about selling it or not. I don't think he actually wanted to use it for its abilities, but I could be wrong. But I think that this was very significant, that Oda wanted to point out and remind us that, yeah, don't forget, Law has the ability to make people immortal, so that's why I have to keep him alive. And Kid is not as important, so Kid might be dead. Having all these different break weeks, I think, also helps Oda to spend a little bit more time with these chapters so that the pacing is much better. I'm loving the artwork. That's been so much better since Wano. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but Wano, a lot of the panels were very clunky. There were a lot of panels that sometimes I wasn't 100% sure of what was happening, but the art has definitely been so much better in this. But before I wrap this up, I definitely want to get into some of my predictions on what I think is going to happen. I think I said in my review that Blackbeard is going to Egghead, and I meant to say that I was wrong about... I said that I was wrong, but I think actually I was still right, that Blackbeard is still... Because it seems like the timeline, I was trying to figure that out. Blackbeard probably is still on Winter Island, and he's just leaving Winter Island. It's possible that he may get to Egghead, but it's most likely that it's just the only two Titanic captains of Blackbeard's crew that we haven't seen yet are most likely on this ship. That being Lafitte and Katarina Devon. Whether they're going to run into the government or whether they're going to be able to sneak into Egghead and if they're going to be a part of all of the mess that's going to happen, we're going to probably find out next chapter. I believe next chapter we definitely will be checking in with the Straw Hats, since we're not going to have any more breaks coming up. Oda definitely took a long break from the Straw Hats to kind of flesh out a lot of the things that have been going on in the world. Bonnie, we haven't checked in with Bonnie. We also haven't checked in with Kuma and Revolutionaries I mentioned last time. A few things I didn't get to mention was all of the rest of the Marines that are pulling up to Egghead right now, along with Kizaru and the Gorosei, well, Saint Saturn. We definitely will be getting Saturn probably sometime using the Seraphim. I don't think that's going to happen next chapter, but it's going to definitely be some setups for that. And the Straw Hats are going to be in trouble, just like how the Heart Pirates and the Kid Pirates were, but they're actually going to be able to get out of it. We're getting like Saburi and Marineford kind of mixed in, but in reverse. Because in Saburi, Kid and Law's crew were able to leave unscathed, and it was Luffy's crew that was completely defeated, and it was reversed this time where we had Law and Kid's crew both completely defeated, and Luffy's crew is most likely going to be able to leave unscathed. We can't also forget about Buggy's crew. We can't forget about Cross Guild, because all the rest of the Yonko are all on the move. We got to find out what's happening with Cross Guild, so I'm definitely looking forward to something like that. I definitely kept out a lot of the power scaling. I didn't really talk about, and I forgot to mention this when I was talking about Kuzan. Kuzan and Garp, I think I briefly mentioned that Kuzan is holding back, so I don't think that Garp is much stronger than him. I think that at this point, Garp is still weaker than Kuzan. You know, Garp was stronger than him if he was at his prime, but right now he's just doing this to teach him a lesson. This video, I didn't really want it to get too much into the power scaling. I wanted to analyze a lot more and get into my theories. But I would love to hear what you guys think. If you guys think I made any sense in regards to who the man with the burn scar actually is, and also my theories for chapter 1082. It's your boy Gabe D Champ. Peace.